All right, guys, here we go. Is this working? Yeah, it is working. All right. For the weekend or, whenever you get some free time, um, go back and look at this stream and kind of just see. It'll just hopefully help you identify supply and demand zones. Anyway, so game plan here, guys. We're just sticking with pure supply and demand. Now, I do have a moving average, okay, on each of these time frames. On the left time frame, it's a weekly time frame. The right is a 4 hour. Okay, so we're definitely looking at some swing trading opportunities here. I'm using the weekly to determine big supply and demand levels where I really expect big swings in price to come. On the right, we're gonna use this for our entries. Anywhere from like the 4 hour chart and down is where we're gonna um, get our entries from. So you can switch it up. If you're day trading, you can do like a daily or a 4 hour on the left as your higher time frame, and anything like a 30-minute down to a 5 minute for your entries on the right. 30-minute might be a little too long, but anyway, for day trading. But McGinley dynamic average, same thing on the right. This is a 4 hour McGinley dynamic average, just to help me see, possibly like when something might be way overbought or way oversold, but way above or below the average. And then also, if I do find a level where I want to buy or sell and the average is sitting right in there, just a little extra confirmation that that might be a good level. Okay. So that's it. Game plan is to just go through my watch list. So this might be a, pretty long stream. I don't know, maybe an hour. I don't know. I've got time on a Friday. So, I've got about an hour. So I was going to sit down and go through my watch list and like, why don't I just go through my watch list and just have other people watching me do what I do? That might be helpful for someone. So here I am. So that's the plan, is just to go through my watch list. You guys can just see what I do. And if it jives with you, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. But here we go. Supply and demand. I'm going to identify supply and demand levels and how to take advantage of them. So here we go. All right, so S&P 500 is always where I start. Let's just take a look at volatility. All right, so S&P short-term volatility is obviously declining as the market continues to rise, but we're going to watch this because we're getting a little overextended here. So keeping our eyes on volatility. Might get a spike one of these days soon. So get ready for a down move in the market at some point, and we'll see what that does to volatility. All right, so S&P is quite close to getting to a new all-time high. I've got it marked here, S&P ATH, all-time high. I see demand down here. Okay, wrapping some lines around this big move in price. So when price gets back in here, I would expect the market to take a bounce. And then when the market does get down there, we'll have to see how well that times with the dollar. Is the dollar going to be in supply when the market gets down here? S&P and the dollar tend to move inverse most of the time, but we'll just have to see. So anyway, that's not always the case. That really is not always the case. Sometimes the dollar and the S&P are moving in tandem as well. So you just, but you know what? We just mark the zone and act accordingly. Whatever is in supply, whatever is in demand. So anyway, I've got a demand zone down here that I'm looking at in the S&P. Up above, obviously no supply zones. You can see that price is reacting to supply that was, kind of at the edge of this market here. Another quick tidbit, I am not using green and red on this chart on the right, just because I don't want to like psych myself out too much. Now here, I definitely want to like color code it because like I'm really expecting prices to react to these levels on the weekly chart. Okay, but on here, I just don't want to get locked into thinking, if I put red there, oh, it's gotta sell off. Um, I don't know. It's just a little psychological thing that I do. Kind of helps me to remain neutral. Um, but it just helps me look at zones without any kind of bias going in. Okay, I do know, what to expect at the zone depending on what, where it is. Is it a supply zone? Is it above price, below price? But just having that gray color just doesn't get me so locked in on like, ooh, I don't know. That's just a weird thing I do. If you want to color code it, you can, but I just put gray lines there. It just helps keep me neutral. So anyway, price is reacting to this supply zone here. You can see that it was broken here, but I would say that this supply up here, the sellers up here, are still definitely holding down this market. Price is holding above this average though, so we'll have to wait and see if this turns down, and move closer down to that demand there. Now, keep in mind, S&P is in an uptrend, so I'm expecting this demand to hold. If this demand does not hold, and we break through and move lower, I'll have to shift my bias and expect now, to find some buyers lower when we get into this weekly demand area down here. Okay. And we'll just have to see if price does turn around. I'll be looking then for supply zones, that I'll use as like areas to take profit once we get, hit demand down here. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the chat. Hi there, we're the Renko charts. I used to use Renkos exclusively on my higher time frame, but I have since just narrowed down just simple supply and demand. I kind of got lost in the weeds for a little while, with like just mixing up like how I was looking at data with like Renko charts, Heiken Ashis. I kind of just got lost. Honestly, you guys, I got lost in, you can see up here, I still have Renko here. I've still got the Heiken Ashi up here. I got lost in averages and indicators and stuff. And in this season, I'm just going back to simple supply and demand. Like, where are the big moves in price on the demand side? Where are the big moves in price on the supply side, the sell side? And just taking advantage of price when it returns there. That's it. That's it. And I have two averages, and I'm convinced that that's going to be a lot better than trying to be like, oh, is there bullish or bearish divergence, and then I'm only going to take it when I get this Ikenashi that's a blue. The first one, it works. Renkos, I'm going to only take it when the Renkos print the next blue brick or the next red brick. It works. It really does. Those strategies work. But sometimes you can confuse yourself. Honestly, I was confusing. I had a strategy laid out, and I had it written down. Like I did. I really do believe I was doing all the right things, but it was still kind of confusing. Whereas this is just like, okay, here are the buyers, here are the sellers. I'm just going to jump in and, take advantage of that and then set my profit targets accordingly. We're going to get to that. Like, how do I set profit targets? Where's a good profit target? Where's a good entry? We'll get to that. So anyway, that's the S&P. Just kind of hovering. We'll see if the sellers can push this down. We got some demand here. It is in an uptrend, so I would be taking advantage of some kind of demand in here. Okay. We're just going to skip ahead. I have a bunch of markets here, but they, obviously the U.S. equities are going to look somewhat similar. Again, on the NASDAQ, you can see supply here, but I'm actually looking above here. On the NASDAQ, you can see this is even better. I mean, you can look, price came right into that supply, sold off down to the average. Obviously, buyers are pushing the market back up. Same story. We'll have to see if the sellers can move it back down to that demand. So these supply zones, when you're able to find them, you're able to find good ones, they really do work, guys. They really, really do work. This is not hocus pocus, just, lines on a screen, just praying that things go right. No. This is where, where real buyers and real sellers are, and price reacts. Okay. yeah, I mean, Dow, again, moving sideways. Let's see. I mean, it's going to be the same story with most of the equities. Even overseas, Euro stocks, Euro 50. These are all going to look somewhat similar. Just have to see, probably going into Monday, if the sellers are going to win or if this thing's going to turn around and head higher. Okay. We're going to skip to, we'll look at gold. I know there's a lot of people that look at gold. So gold, as you can see, gold broke through a supply level. So when I was looking at gold yesterday was the 11th. I was looking at this and I was like, oh, okay. And you can see why I have those lines there. This whole entire range of this candle, I just identified that as supply because look, we got a lot of volume in this candle and a pretty nice sell-off. That was on the news, the CPI news that came out. So yeah, but as you can see, okay, well, we've definitely blown through that level. And in the process, now what I got to do, we form demand. Okay, so now we've broken through this. We are in the context of an overall uptrend, as you can see on the higher time frame chart. Price is above the average, so we're definitely, the path of least resistance for this one is definitely up. We've got demand here. Maybe on a smaller time frame, there might be something lower here. Let's see. Yeah, there's another one here. Another little demand area there. So price just rallied up 2 hours, kind of took a pause and kind of pushed out right there. Okay, so there might be some demand there. Another thing here with the average, you can see that this average right now, at least, is sitting within demand. Okay, go down one more time frame lower. I mean, even this would be super conservative here, way down here. But you've got 3 areas here, here, and here. Those are all demand, demand, demand. They look better depending on what time frame you're looking at. I might take the second one here. I might allow price to chop through this. Take the second one here because by the time price does get down to the second level, it would be below the average. It's okay to chop through this a little bit. This is kind of ugly. I don't really like to take it when there's like price was here for 8 hours before it bounced. So I'm okay with taking this lower one and then kind of maybe I'll put a stop, I don't know, there somewhere. Color code that red, So I would probably wind up taking this. And that would be off of I think it was off of the 2 hour. If I were to trade gold, I don't trade gold. But if I were to take a trade on that, it'd probably be that area right there. And I'd just be looking for something like this if we were to correct from where we are now. Just like that. And then see if we can get up there like that. Obviously, that's not what I want to happen. But something like that. Boom, get entry here. And then what I would do is I would use opposing supply and demand levels. You can see this one worked out really well. That's a supply zone that worked. Right there. Okay, that's supply zone. I'm saying that supply zone worked at that time. See, it's reliable, guys. I mean, when you're able to identify these levels where price declined, when price retests, comes back in, they're fairly reliable. Okay, but anyway, this one is not fresh. So I would probably have my first target. Well, I'd probably have my first target 2 or 3 to 1. So I'd probably take my first target. If this were my trade, I would probably take my first target like here. Even though this is an old supply zone, I would probably take my first target somewhere here, about 2, 3 to 1. Color code that blue for a target. And then, I don't know, if I wanted to have a second target, maybe I'd shoot, we have more supply up here. And we have more supply up there. Okay, so if we are going to get a move like this, and if this, if gold does move down to around 2030, okay, 2030 level, we'll call it, and we do catch a bounce, I would have a target here. And I might have a target, a second target, like right, I don't know, maybe within that zone, somewhere around there. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm using the opposing levels. Oh, excuse me. I'm using the opposing supply levels because I'm in a position where I'm buying. I'm using the opposing levels where I expect sellers. Maybe go there for the second target. The opposing fresh levels to determine where I'm going to then sell out of my position, right? So price, pick an easy one. Just let price make that first, around that first high or just before it makes the first high. And then just another one before it hits the first next fresh supply zone. You see, it's fresh because price has not gotten back there since that zone was formed. That's why it's fresh. All right. Take a look at the chat here. I've been chatting away. So that would be that. All right. But I actually don't trade gold. Awanda US doesn't let you trade it. So, all right. Silver, same kind of story. Silver. Got my lines. Same kind of story with silver. This is a nice demand zone right there. I actually really like that. On the 2 hour. Yeah, this consolidation is probably going to get broken. I would bet this consolidation gets broken through, and then we catch some buyers down in there. I just got a notification that my CAD, we lost the CAD. All good. We'll make up for it somewhere else. All good. Pound Aussie's looking pretty decent. We'll get there. All right. Where were we? Oil. Take a look at oil. Another one that I don't trade from my Orlando account. But if I did trade futures, I would. So oil. Okay, first fresh demand zone we see. Right there. That's the first fresh demand zone we see. Pretty awesome because we got an average that's right in there. Okay. You can see on a higher time frame. So I kind of marked off this. Like we got this huge move from, what is it, like, let's call it the 71 area. Right? We got a huge move from 71. Okay, no surprise, price comes in, and at least it's kind of chopping around and bouncing out. But we might see on a weekly basis, we might see a nice, decent bounce up to where? The nearest opposing supply on the weekly chart, which would be all the way up here. So there is plenty of room to take long positions and make money if oil is going to indeed take a bounce from the 71 area. So there's plenty of opportunity here. Not assuming that oil is just going to, go to 100, or something, but just, even a bounce to 80, you identify a smaller zone, a bounce to 80, pretty good, right? Yeah, so that's oil. Okay. You got pretty much the same thing on Brent crude. Okay. Natural gas, man, natural gas just had a crazy up move this week. Came up into supply on the weekly chart. I'm looking on the left chart here. Came up into weekly supply. You could make the argument that it broke through it. Okay, so that's somewhat bullish. Okay. But where's the nearest weekly demand? It's actually going to be down here. Now the average is here, and there is demand that price is reacting to. But I don't know. I'm seeing natural gas maybe come back down here to test the weekly zone. When price gets down here, we'll see how price reacts. If we get little jumps in price on the 4 hour, then we'll see. We'll engage those levels as price gets down there and reacts to the weekly level. Okay, so stay tuned. Again, this is another one that I don't actually trade, but I still follow it. Bonds. Yeah. So looking at bonds just to get an idea of where interest rates may be headed. Okay. If you want to make a prediction on where interest rates are likely to go, what the Fed is, get in the Fed's head a little bit, get in the market's head a little bit, got to be looking at bonds. You know, and yield. Yield moves inverse to bond prices. Okay. And bond prices move inverse to interest rates. So as interest rates increase, bond prices go lower, I believe. Hopefully, someone with a finance degree might be able to correct me. But anyway, bond yield and interest rates should move in tandem. So if yield is going down, interest rate expectations should be going down. Okay. If yield is going up, interest rates should be going up. And I mean, you can see that on the chart. We have hiked a lot this year. And of course, what do bond prices do? It goes up. I mean, in 2023, right here, January 2nd, all the way to October, we started to sell off. So people started thinking, maybe they're going to cut. So people started speculating about cuts, and now we're looking at, I don't know, possibly 2 to 3 cuts this year. We'll see. All depends on the numbers that come out, right? I don't have a finance degree. I'm just a guy, so I'm gonna be careful with what I say with this kind of stuff, because I can definitely be wrong. I'm just a guy with a couple charts here, but anyway, I'm looking at those cuts as a more likely possibility based on how bond prices are acting. Anyway, demand down here on bonds. You got supply up here, so if this demand gets broken, we'll expect this supply to hold. If price were to return back up there, 30 and 10 year. This was a nice supply level up here, and you can see bonds came right in and came right out. I don't trade bonds. We're getting to the stuff I trade soon. We are getting there. I just logged out of Awana because I don't want the position lines to mess with my supply and demand lines. It's just going to get confusing. We're just going to have tons of lines in there. We're already going to have a lot of lines as it is, disconnecting from my broker. So you don't have to worry about that. So, okay. Moving on. This is the Bund. Okay. These are European bonds. Similar story. These came into weekly demand, though, and you can see that it is reacting. Price is reacting to the weekly demand. Could still drop a little further. This is a super wide demand zone. But on the weekly charts, guys, demand is demand is demand is demand is demand. So I'm okay with drawing them pretty wide, pretty big, I just encompass this whole entire blue candle and call that, a demand area for bonds on the weekly charts. On the right time frame, the smaller time frame, I'm a little more scrupulous with where I put those lines to define the zones. But look at how honest. Just look at how honest. Here's supply. Price technically missed it, but look, it's textbook. We got a sell off here. Price comes down. Price comes up. What's price going to do when we get up here? Well, if it's in supply, it's probably going to sell off. That's exactly what it does. Sells off all the way down to here, but now it sells off into an area of demand. And so, you can see the price is starting to swing back up. No surprise. Excuse me, about to sneeze. Okay. All right. So, working on the dollar now. Dixie. Okay, weekly supply here. Second weekly supply all the way up here. I don't think, based upon how the dollar is weakening, I'm not sure if we're going to get to the second one, especially since on the weekly chart, we've got a weekly average sitting right now in that supply. So if the dollar does want to pick up some strength here, guys, can definitely happen. It does not it could pop down here, hit this demand here, and shoot us back up to 103.5. Very likely possibility. Careful though, because right around 103.5, 103, from 103 say 5 to 104, 104.25. Thinking about those quarter numbers. Quarter numbers being like 103.25, 103.50, 103.75. Like this would be the 103.75 level. Got to think like a bank. Okay. So the quarters, this is sitting right at a quarter. This is pretty much sitting right at 103.75. So be careful. 103.75, you can objectively see that there are sellers more likely to be up there. And also, 103.75 is right there. That's just above this weekly average. So the dollar can definitely take a little bit of a upswing here for sure into this supply before it sees real selling. Okay. And then that would just be continuing this downtrend. It would just be continuing the downtrend. So let's just say got a little move up here. It would just be kind of continuing like that. It's a slow, steady. It would be a slow, steady downtrend, But anyway, we'll just keep. We don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? Anything can happen. But we do know there are sellers up there. We do know the dollar can hold here and rally from it. We do know that the dollar can break and pick up some demand down here. So all we're doing is just identifying where the likely buyers and sellers are. That's all we're doing. So anyway, there's the Dixie. Pretty much the same story on the dollar, on the US dollar FXCM index. We're going to get rid of this one. You can see this supply here that I identified last night. That worked out pretty nicely here. I did not trade this. That's not a level that I would trade. It's way too big. But just to get an idea, like who's winning the battle right now. Okay, just identifying those levels. This one looks so similar to Dixie, except up here we're looking at our supply at this would be pretty much the 13,000. No, I'm sorry. That's this would be like, I don't know, the 1395 or 1295. Doesn't always have to correlate with some, quarter number. But anyway, you can see that dollar gets back up there. You should expect some selling. And again, the average is right in there, and it's within a weekly zone. So keep your eyes peeled. Euro USD, pretty much an inverse Dixie, pretty much. Yeah, a lot of confusion right now. Where's the dollar going? What's going on here? Are we going to break up? Are we going to break higher, catch some supply up here, and possibly sell off lower? Are we gonna break higher, catch some selling here, and then are we gonna kind of chop along like this? Like, is this the move that's gonna come? Something like this, and then we continue higher. I don't know. That seems to be the question. The market's like, huh? Market's like, what are we doing here? I don't know. So still moving in a range. There's really not. This demand here lines up pretty well with where this weekly average is. Okay. Yeah. So demand here, supply up here. I'm going to stick on the demand side though, because this is looking bullish. Okay. This is looking bullish. So stay on the buy side. I would be staying on the buy side. Price is above the weekly average. Demand zones are holding. Enough said. That's pretty much that. Okay. GBP USD. Let me see the chat. Anybody? Hey, we got a person. Hey, person. How's it going? Welcome. Put it in the chat. Yo. Welcome to the live stream. Man, when I used to post on cryptos, I'd have like 20, 30 people in here. We got one. Yeah, awesome. So we're looking at identifying supply and demand levels. We're up to the pound against the dollar. Got some supply up here. Market came close and reacting just before the level. Dollar's seeing a little bit of strength in the last hour. So, yeah, I got a AUD USD short, so should be good for that. But we'll see. I mean, this is still in a slow, messy uptrend. Okay, so supply up here, demand down here, and this, on the 4 hour, your demand would be, you could identify it. So I've gone down into a lower time frame. Probably a 2 hour, I think. No, I guess a 1 hour. Maybe I went down into a 1 hour and refined that. Yeah, so you can see it's based off of the 1 hour. Just right here, this little candle, 1 hour. Okay, and I might take that if I might take that if when price gets down there's some decent room and there's decent. The opposing supply level is a good distance away. Like if we get a sharp move down, even from like 26, if we break this low, but then from 126 down to 125.15, where would look to possibly buy, if we have like a sharp move down, I might take it because then I'd have from 25.17 to 26 to collect profit. But we'll just have to see where the sellers are. If price is like kind of chopping around at 126 and it looks ugly, and I might not take it. But anyway, too early to say. But that's what we're looking at: supply and demand on the pound. Up here, supply, demand down there. I'm not messing around with this. I'm not touching that. That's ugly. Oh, and here's the Aussie dollar short, looking pretty good. Yeah, dollar's picking up some speed, so we'll see. There might be some, I don't know. China's kind of struggling. China's kind of struggling. You can see China. Yeah. China's struggling, guys. China's really struggling, so that's pulling the Aussie down. I think China is really not doing much. I think they're pretty much done. Their week is kind of over. We're just, finishing it off here. But anyway, if you're looking at the Aussie, you definitely want to be following the Chinese markets as well. You also want to take a look at copper. Okay, China has a huge copper market, and you can kind of see some correlations sometimes with that for sure. Just look at the move that copper made, and China. Okay, any commodities, guys, like steel. China's big in steel, copper. Someone who studied Chinese economics has a much better answer than me. But keep your eyes on your commodities. This, and the Aussie is a commodity currency. It's tied to commodity prices. The Australian economy and Chinese economy are heavily tied to commodities, right? So if anyway, I'm going to stop speaking because someone way smarter than me can give you a much better answer. So I'll let them do that. So the Aussie, yep, it's holding. We got some awesome demand down here. This is a set and forget kind of level for me. Price was just in this area for just a little tiny bit, and then it had an explosive move to the upside, just explosive. So this is a set and forget level for me. I'm just putting my order in, buying at 65.85, stop loss outside 65.60, and just letting it do its thing. So we'll see. Not messing with this demand, especially now that this is holding. Okay. Are you allowed to? Are you able to trade that level? Sure, you can. You can do whatever you want. You can get down into a 1 hour. You can kind of refine it, make your zone even smaller, but just don't expect much from this level down here. Don't expect much from these buyers here, because these buyers, guys, were only able to move the market up to this supply, and lo and behold, the sellers that were still up here. I mean, you see, I'm just barely still in this trade, but still, the sellers here at the 67. We'll call it the 67.25 level. Look at that. We turned right at a quarter, 67.25. That's a level that banks and institutions are going to be interested in. So it's holding right now. We'll have to see if this demand breaks here. I'm not touching this one. Supply is holding, so I'm staying on the short side for this. Definitely staying on the short side. Plus, we're holding below the average. All right. Not as much commentary, otherwise it's going to take forever. Kiwi. Supply zone up here, clearly broken through. So now in this scenario, yeah, I don't know. At least as far as the Kiwi is concerned, I might look for something down there. We did break through supply. I'll just have to see. I don't know. So far, I mean, I don't really like. Yeah, maybe this 2-hour level, possibly. Again, we'll have to see what forms on the way down. We'll see, and definitely see what happens at this demand level here. Price could definitely hit here and start to rally up, but it's we're getting towards the middle of the trading day, so I'm not really liking anything here. Dollar CAD, ooh, came right into this demand, kind of pierced through it, but definitely getting a reaction from the level. I did not take this, so I'm not in it. So we've got demand here. We've got demands down here. This demand is within weekly demand. Okay, this demand zone here is within this weekly level. So if we get back down here, probably going to take it again. If the opposing supply zones are, not too close, so if we have an opposing supply zone at 133, and I'm looking to enter at 32.56, I'd have to take my first target at 133 for sure. But that's like a 1-to-1 right there. If I just take this zone as it is, that's like a 1-to-1. I might pass on that. Dollar peso, pretty weak, holding this supply here. It held right here, so I'm gonna stay on the short side on this dollar peso. I'm gonna stay on the short side. I might refine this zone up here, see if anything looks better. Yeah, I might go with I might avoid this. This is definitely a supply level here. This is definitely a supply level here, but this supply level right here, it's definitely supply, but do you see how far the market moved before it made it? I would actually want to sell up in here rather. I'd rather sell up in here to capture, and if I were to take this trade, put a stop loss out here to capture all of this space. I try as best I can. I probably need more discipline in doing this, but I try as best I can to stay to the edge, stay at the edge of the market. It doesn't look so pretty on the 1 hour, but it is definitely supply. There's definitely supply up there. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. Dollar Sing. In weekly supply, well, came into weekly supply, selling off. Same thing with the dollar. A lot of confusion, up and down, up and down, up and down, back and forth, back and forth. Supply up here, demand down here. Being that the dollar is weak, kind of overall, I mean, we're seeing some strength in the last hour, but overall, still looking kind of sideways to like bearish, sideways to down. I don't know. Really not gonna do too much with the dollar on this one until we get some direction. So, dollar yen, however, yen is super weak. Yen spans from 142.85 all the way down to 140. Okay, so this whole area here is definitely weekly demand. But on the 4 hour, you do see some demand here in the context of an uptrend. So I would look to buy here. I would definitely look to buy here. See how, see if we if price wants to return. And this one might move sideways, guys. This one might move like kind of, I don't know, this one might look pretty ugly, but I would eventually want to see this dollar, if this demand holds, I would want to see this dollar make new highs and ultimately work towards this week. This supply here, this is a beautiful supply zone right here. This is a beautiful supply zone right there. And you can see that that worked out very well. This supply held this market down. I mean, we look at the reaction that we got from that. Crazy. On the way down from that supply, this one was formed. Market just missed it here, but you can see the reaction. The sellers were so strong, couldn't even get in there. Market reacted and sold off again. Well, now we've pierced through. We've definitely pierced through this one. Okay. We just barely touched this one. Just barely touched it. Barely came up to it and sold off. So if we get the sell-off into our zone, here, and we want to take a bounce, for sure, I'm going to have a target, my first target, maybe even my second. I might take off some here and then some here. I would definitely have a target. All I'm getting at here, guys, is get a target somewhere in here before this supply, because this supply should see some action. Okay. And you also want to take a little bit off just before it makes that new high. So moving along, put an alert there. That's a good one to keep my eyes on. A lot of these are going to look similar. Euro yen, two opportunities here. Mr. Ed and I were looking at this this morning, talking about these trades this morning, these two zones here. You can take, you can enter here at 158, around 158.3, and have one stop loss here. You could have two entries at here and here at these top lines here of these demand zones. You can do that and have one stop loss. You can take them both individually like I'm planning to. If I lose the first one, okay, whatever, and I'll make up for the loss on hopefully the second one sticking, okay? But there are two demand zones here. Yen is looking super weak. There was some expectations that, there's some surprise comment that the Japanese, the Bank of Japan was going to reverse their decades-long super low interest rate policy, and that's what gave the yen some strength. I mean, like a lot of strength. That's what kind of sparked this whole big sell-off. But then they kind of backtracked, and they've just been like, I'm not following it super close, the Bank of Japan, but there hasn't really been much talk like that. And that was expected in January, like to abandon this policy. It was hinted that might, stop at the beginning of the year. And that just hasn't happened. And so it's kind of back to the same old thing, sell the yen. It's just sell the yen, buy the dip on the yen and just, sell the yen, buy whatever it's, is opposing it. So that's the story with all these guys. Here's the Swiss euro. You can see that these move very similarly. The Swiss against the yen, the euro against the yen. You're almost trading the same currency. The zones are very similar. You can see here, there's a top one and a bottom one, just like there was here. Now this one can definitely, this trade that I'm in right now could definitely not work, and it heads down to this one. If it did, I would expect then to be in this euro. I would expect to be in this top, level on the euro yen. I would expect to have stopped out on the Swiss yen and be in the bottom one here. Because they move in tandem, but we'll just have to see. Super weak yen though, guys, super weak. Pound yen, similar setup. Two nice demand zones here and here. Okay. Just kind of barely touched supply up here. Just barely. But we'll see. This is definitely in a strong uptrend, so we're going to stay on that side. Weekly demand down here, though, so keep an eye out for that. This does not need to hold, but we'll just see. We just trade what's on the chart. This one, CAD, lost this one. Okay, this was a loser. No, we'll keep the lines there just so we know. Okay, that was a loser. Lower demand here. See if it sticks. It is moving out of weekly demand. And with oil, guys, whenever you're looking at the Canadian dollar, look at oil. So with oil on the rise here, end oil also approaching a 4-hour demand. Okay, CAD yen also approaching a 4-hour demand. You know, it's looking like there might be some. CAD yen is not like trading, West Texas crude. It's not the same exact thing. But when there are levels that are matching up, if oil's coming into a demand zone and the CAD yen is coming into a demand zone, you gotta take that into consideration in your analysis. Okay, so just throwing it out there. Aussie coming down into demand. Okay, Aussie yen, Kiwi yen. There is demand here. I don't know. I just got lazy. Market, but there's demand here. You can see this area. Take the sync off so it's not my weekly. So yeah, definitely demand here. I don't know if I'm going to take it. I've got so much going on with the yen here as it is. I'm just going to let this one. See, my position sizes are super small in each individual one. Like I'm only risking a 0.5% on any of these trades. So I kind of trade like a basket. I'm kind of trading like, several currencies against the yen and several currencies against the dollar. Not all of them are going to hit at the same time. Not all of them are going to move the same exact. The timing's going to be a little bit off. But sometimes if I can catch like 2 or 3 and they do continue moving, I'm kind of like trading a basket of currencies, rather than just loading up like one with like 2% of my account. I'm doing that to kind of lessen my exposure to any one pair, but kind of trading the basket. Dollar Swiss demand holding. So I had some demand here. I would have had a stop loss out here. So if I were to take this trade, still be in it. It's kind of cool. Yep. I liked the demand better on the Euro Swiss though, and this one's working out pretty well. So the Euro Swiss, I know the sentiment right now, if you follow retail trading sentiment on the Euro Swiss, it is super, super long to short, which is a bearish indication. But here's my reasoning for wanting to go long down here. I don't really care primarily about the sentiment. Price overnight. Was this overnight? Yeah, this was overnight. So price overnight. No, hold on. This was Thursday at 12. So yeah, price overnight on Thursday. 8 to. What am I looking at here? Sorry, I'm getting a little confused. Anyway, this supply was broken through. Okay, but when the market made this move up, it formed some pretty nice demand down here. You can see, and look at that. The average is right in there. See the average in there? So the demand level was also lining up with the average. And you can see on the weekly chart, yeah, we sold off. We're not quite in weekly supply yet. Okay, the weekly supply is up here. We're not quite in weekly supply, so, price is starting a minor uptrend. We'll take a shot. So I did. And so far, we're looking good. All right, so first target's definitely going to be before this supply here, which is, sadly only a little more than 1-to-1, but it's all good, whatever. We take a weekend. But we can remove this because this has been invalid, and we can go like that. That's the nearest fresh supply. We don't know what kind of sellers are in there. These sellers can definitely continue pushing it down. Okay, so we're going to take some money before we get there. 93.5. Okay, 93.5. Pound Swiss. Sellers here. This supply has been invalidated. Definitely in a minor uptrend. This could continue. We'll see. We got weekly supply up here. A lot of work to do, though. A lot of work to do. And usually this choppy, like, I don't know. I kind of stay away from that. But I guess I kind of don't because I took the choppiness in the Euro Swiss. But anyway, that's what we're looking at. Sellers been taken out there. Demand here. Yes, it was tested right here, but it can definitely come back in there and get another jump. So we'll just see. I do want to see a weak Swiss against some of these other ones. I do want to see a stronger Swiss against the yen. I want to see the Swiss strong against the yen, but I want to see the Swiss weak against some of the other major currencies, if that makes sense. I'm just banking on super weak yen, and a relatively weak Swiss. So CAD Swiss, similar story. Not really in that robust kind of minor uptrend. You can see demand got broken there, but we'll just have to see if this holds. And then we got some weekly, within weekly supply, we got some sellers up there for sure. Aussie being held down, came into weekly demand. Did see some, obviously seeing some buyers come back into the market, but I don't know. We got some demand here. I'm not really too keen on jumping in on this. We'll just see what happens with that level. If this level holds and we start moving higher and a nice clear little uptrend starts to take place, similar story on the Kiwi against the Swiss. Came almost down to demand, kind of hovering there, moving sideways. You can make an argument it's in an uptrend, a little minor uptrend, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not going to mess with that. Euro pound came down into weekly demand. Okay. I would bet if you were to put RSI on here, let's do it. I would bet if you were to put RSI, relative strength indicator, I would bet, or money flow, I would bet that on this 4-hour chart, there's bullish divergence. So price came down here, rallied up into supply, sold off, couldn't make a new low. Okay, so we have two pretty much the same low here. Let's see what happens when we throw the money flow on there. Is there divergence? And there is, very clear. Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. I don't primarily use the indicators. I only use them for confirmation. So I'm just throwing this on here just for education purposes only. This is no longer a part of my strategy. It gets a little confusing. So price came down, made a similar low. Okay, almost the same exact low. I mean, we're off by just a couple pips. But you can see within that same period of time, okay, this low corresponds to here, and this low corresponds to here. You can see very clearly that's much higher, and this is pretty much the same. Okay, so this is still bullish divergence. Price makes a similar or lower low. The indicator here making a much higher low. Okay, so I would be surprised if the pound just continued like super, down lower from here. I would expect this pound to maybe now, the euro pound, I would now expect this to start making a move higher. Still going to stay on the short side because we're still below the average. Supply is still holding primarily. So until we get through this supply, like really just break through it, I'm still going to remain bearish, but that's that. Okay, and then if we do break through it, start looking for demand because we are at the bottom of the curve here, coming off the weekly demand, and we'll see if there might be a long trade here soon. Wow. EuroCAD cut right through that. I knew about that. I knew this lower level was going to hold. I just knew this lower level was going to be the one that's going to see the activity. I knew it. I just knew it. Should trust it. Should trust your knowledge, Chris. Anyway, so this demand broke. This happened happens all the time. You get these like swift moves up and a swift move down, and the first one will break, but the second one below it will hold. This happens all the time. Look at that. If I were to take that trade just like that, maybe even refine it. Let's see if I can refine it. Yeah, no, I'd have to take that whole thing. If I were to take this thing, just have a stop out here. Pretty decent trade. I did not take the top one here, so it was not a loss for me. I just didn't take it. But see here, like price is in an uptrend. Price is, overall uptrend. Kind of chopping around here. We're kind of at the bottom of this range, sort of. But price just kind of chopping up, chopping down. We are currently in supply, though. We are currently in supply. So we'll see. See if the price reacts to the supply. But it would have been a good trade. Oh well. Just have to get another one. Euro Aussie. I think I'm still just barely in this one, actually, you guys. I think so. I might have been stopped out. Let me check here. Am I still in this thing? Let me see. Am I still in this thing? I am not in this one. I did get stopped out of this one. But that's okay. But this Aussie, this Aussie against the dollar, taking advantage of that weakness, but just not getting the advantage on the weakness in the Euro Aussie. All good. We just barely got stopped out. But look, hey, my analysis was right. My stop was in the wrong place. So we'll just see. We'll see what happens with this one. If it continues moving up, if we're forming demand on the way up, I'll jump right back in because we are. You can argue we're sideways, but I'm thinking that this euro might win this battle, and uptrend on the weekly might march us right up to this weekly supply up here. We'll see. So I might take another stab. Euro Kiwi. Oof. Yeah, this was a loser. It was a loser. We'll take that out. But this lower demand, is holding. Kind of broke through, but kind of a messy market right now. This is another one. Same thing. Just going to see if the buyers come in, and if we form demand zones on the way up, we'll take those. But we gotta get past this first. And we do have sellers up here too. So got some work to do. Pound CAD. I think I had this on, but I didn't take it. I don't know why. There's demand there, and it's working. We'll see. Marching up. Demand there. Supply there. This one I am in. Looking pretty good. Okay. Caught demand. My first 2-to-1 target should be even before that. Probably getting close to that 2-to-1 right now. It's about 1. Yeah, we're probably getting close. About 20 pips away. Yeah. I don't know. So if the Aussie weakness continues, we should get 1 target hit there. Pound Kiwi, similar story. Aussie and the Kiwi move similar. This one is in weekly supply right here. This 4-hour supply that was hit here is holding. And this is weekly supply. And we've got supply levels forming as price is coming out now too. So use caution. Okay, there is supply there. This one, what the heck was I looking at there? Maybe the 1 hour? Yeah, I didn't take it anyway because it's not even close to the edge. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I did not take this one. Good thing. Just sideways, ugly. You can make an argument that this is in an uptrend. Okay, came into weekly. Weekly demand seems to be holding above the average, so looking good. Another one. This looks really ugly, guys. Absolutely looks very ugly, but it looks like the Kiwi is winning this battle. And if you look at the higher time frame, I don't know. We'll just have to see. So some traders might be looking at. Some traders would be looking at a breakout here, and then they'd obviously want to see price break out of the range and move it significantly higher. What they might not be looking at is this supply, though. Price, it came in here, it reacted. Yes, you can make the argument it's starting to weaken. I do think that this may kind of ultimately wind up getting through here, but I don't know. I would still expect some sellers to be in this area here on this. I'm actually going to mark this. I am going to mark that, and I will put a alert here for when we get in there again. Yeah, so right up here. Anyway, so look out for the sellers around 184, or sorry, excuse me, 84. Aussie Kiwi came up into supply here, demand here. You can see demand, price gets pushed up, supply, price gets pushed down. Pretty simple. Now this demand here, that's gone. That was gone there, but that's gone. We've got demand here. Not sure if I'm going to trade that based upon how close the nearest supply is. Here's the nearest supply. Right? So if we take this trade in here, first of all, it's Friday afternoon. Well, almost Friday afternoon. Market's about to close. Things are going to slow down. Not really going to expect much from this level here. And then, I mean, even if this were like Monday morning, I don't know, maybe I'd take a trade here, but like there's sellers right there. The market's selling off right within this zone here. So I might put a sell order in here. I don't know. And then see if we can go pierce down even further into this weekly demand. That might be the one that I'll play. I think maybe the Kiwi might be a little stronger than the Aussie right now. But we do still have demand, but it might be a little short-lived if we get a move from there. So we'll see. Bitcoin. Oof. I made quite a bit of money on Bitcoin actually this week. It was pretty decent money, but that demand is gone. Now we've got some sellers coming in. Woo! So let's see what these guys. I mean, look at this weekly candle. This is textbook trickery from institutions. Okay, everyone's thinking this week, man, Bitcoin to the moon, ETF approval. Right. Well, how do institutions react to that? They just sell it. They just sell the enthusiasm, and you can see supply zones. I bet if we go down into a smaller time frame, get some pretty nice supply zones there. So yeah, there's definitely supply here. Right in here, there might be some supply too. I bet if we go down into a half-hour chart, maybe not. I don't know. So I'd be sticking with this up here. I'd be selling if the price got back up there. You can make the argument it is in demand right now, so who knows? This could continue to chop up higher. But oof, I bet there's bearish divergence here if we put money flow on there. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. So you can see as price is continuing to make these higher highs, you can start here and look at the price as it's making these higher highs. What's the indicator doing? It's making lower highs. That's bearish divergence. Maybe the bearish divergence, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the move that we're going to get from the bearish divergence. And then the bulls pick back up and they push it to 50,000. But I don't know, guys. I mean, being that we have weekly demand all the way down here, we're way over the weekly average, way over the weekly average. And keep your eye on the fear and greed index as well. If that thing's humming hot on the fear side, if there's still a bit of fear in the crypto markets are so emotional. They're so emotional. So if there's a lot of fear still in the market, rest assured price is going to get pushed down to demand levels. Yeah, you just heard one of my other positions getting closed. So which was that? What just closed? What just closed? I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was something. Anyway, so Bitcoin, yeah, just be careful out there. Don't get overly optimistic, okay? Because it can turn around for sure. It can turn around. Get rid of this indicator here. Get rid of the money flow here. Ethereum, again, Bitcoin's pulling the market down right now, so you can see all these are in the red right now, except for Tron, barely. Actually, Tron's flat right now, but you can see Bitcoin pulling the crypto market down. Still some significant demand, though, depending on what pair you're looking at. So, Okay, Solana. Yeah, demand here, but oof, not looking too hot. Nearest supply up here. Supply up here. Cardano. Man, look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. Comes up into supply, sells off right down there. So reliable, guys. Just so reliable. So reliable. Supply and demand is just awesome. I love it. So reliable. Cardano rallies up to the nearest supply and sells off. Now let's see if these buyers are going to hold this up. See if the altcoins are going to stay alive. Matic, similar story. Quite sideways. Came up here, missed this supply, but market's moving down. I'm not so sure about this zone I've got marked here anymore. Binance coin, beautiful. Came right up into supply here, selling off. Let's see if this demand holds. Ripple, ripped right up into supply. Just missed it, sold off. AVAX, Avalanche. I'm trying to add to my position actually here at 36. At 36, I'm trying to add right about here. Was this added to? Let me see. Did I add? I think I might have. Yeah, I think I may have actually had that. Maybe that was what filled. Order history. Yeah, AVAX, open long at 36. So I did add to this position here. I have an open position right now on AVAX. Right now my entry price is 35,235. It's not down here. This was my first entry. My second entry was here. So my net entry right now is 35,235. 35,235. That's my net position. So I got long at 36 even, and I got long at 34.47. So my net position right in between those is right there at 35,235. So I will move my stop now up to, call it like 34.2, just below this right here, and then this will be my risk. I'm going to move my stop up to 34.2. This was a beautiful demand zone. It was a little stressful, as you can see, but eventually we got a huge pop. And I already made some money on this too, which was cool. So, so this is now my trade right here. This is my trade. So I'm still in the green a little bit because I do have, you know, an entry down here. But anyway, this is my trade right now. That's my net position right there, 35,235. Moving my stop up to 34.2. Okay. There we go. Okay, that little pop that you heard was me moving my stop. All right, that's that. Doge. Yep, similar. Doge is weak. Doge couldn't even get up here. So I'd be looking, guys, you know, on just a couple of these, maybe just taking a stab at some of these supply zones, but I'm not taking a stab at every single one, just because these cryptos are super volatile. So I'll pick, like, I like to hedge with them. So I'll take like I'm long AVAX right now, but then I'll, you know, see, you know, if AVAX takes a pop, you know, if AVAX and the crypto market takes a pop to the upside, and I was right about the upside, about the overall uptrend that's going to continue and bring things higher, great. My AVAX is going to be good. But I'll look at, like, you know, I'll look at Doge, I'll look at some of the weaker ones here, and I'll sell these supply zones if and when price gets back up there, to kind of hedge my account a little bit, right? So that, you know, now if AVAX comes up here and tests this supply, and then it ultimately sells off, you know, and now the whole crypto market moves down, I'll already be in like one or two of these selling positions at supply to kind of hedge my overall account. It's kind of like trading 401, a little bit advanced level, but you can, that's the cool thing about the crypto markets, is like you can hedge like one against the other. You can be in a long one for a little while, but look at a couple that you might want to get short on, and then if you get those entries and the whole market moves down, well, okay, yeah, you'll lose your long ones, but if you met entry on your short ones in supply, those ones will, you know, keep your account balance growing in your favor. So I'm gonna have to take a look at these cryptos after the live stream, just kind of go through and like be like, all right, which ones are we gonna, you know, take a stab on long? Which ones are we gonna pass on? And which ones are we now, because we have supply coming in? Which ones are we gonna hold on? I definitely missed my opportunity on some of these up here, though. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I should have, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? But man, should have sold in supply there. Didn't. Okay, that's all right, fine. There's supply that's, you know, forming on the way down, so we'll take a shot at those. Binance would be a good candidate for a short. I mean, look, we're already holding below the average. You know, we already saw supply is holding. Yeah, so get down into a smaller time frame here and see if we can get short somewhere. You know, maybe here. I don't know, maybe up here. Sometimes with the cryptocurrencies, I go down in some pretty small time frames to get entries, and when they work, they really freaking work, guys. So anyway, you can see some of these demand areas, and I've got stop losses set there because there are orders in there, but I might have to redo that and take a couple more short positions if this market wants to move it back down. So, yeah, Link is in demand, but again, that supply is holding. So, yeah. Now, internet computer. This is an interesting one. We can make an argument that it came up into supply here, but this is fresh demand, and it's pretty solid. And it came down into this weekly. And internet computer kind of sometimes moves inverse to the rest of the market. So if this comes down here, it's really weird. Bitcoin could be selling off hard, and this one could be rallying hard, and vice versa. Bitcoin could be rising, and this one could be like selling off hard. You know, just look at the correlation here. It's very weird. So here, like around Monday, around New Year, okay, Bitcoin made a huge move. Okay, what did internet computer do? It was like flat. I mean, it's moving sideways. It's not making that clear. It did eventually. Okay, it definitely did eventually, but it's just what I'm getting at is that sometimes there is an inverse correlation between some of these, where one could be up, the other could be down. So just kind of be mindful of what those correlations are. So this one might be a one that I'll still buy down here, but we'll see. Sheeb, what a just a junk. I don't even know why. I took a trade here. It barely didn't get stopped out because of the low liquidity. There wasn't somebody down here who was willing to um, sell to. Um, anyway, I was going to sell to get stopped out here. Couldn't find a buyer down there. Sorry, but because that buying would have really worked out. It worked out for me, but not for that person. Anyway, didn't get stopped out of here, which is good. It worked out. Came out to supply, sold off. Uni. Yeah, I mean, it's the same story, guys. So anyway, I'm going to have to go through these crypto pairs again here in a little bit and just reassess. Maybe put on some short positions at supply somewhere. Just to hedge and take off some of the ones where I'm looking to buy. I'm looking to buy here, looking to buy internet computers. So some of those I'm going to have to go through and decide, do I really want to buy all of them? Just a couple? I don't know. We'll see. That's all I got, guys. That's my whole entire watch list, from equities to forex to crypto. Supply and demand. It works. The crap works. So trust those levels. I hope this has been helpful for the one person that's still in here. Thank you for hanging on. Supply and demand is an awesome thing. Supply and demand is an awesome thing. The levels work. If you find a good price level, it's fresh, get a strong move away, put some lines around that sucker, wait for price to get back there, and generally it will do something similar or the exact same thing, and carry that trend. So that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Ed, if you are still listening to this by now, you're doing awesome, bro. Like, you're a prodigy. So keep at it. Keep identifying the levels. I'm here to help, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see ya.